Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, Meta Platforms now up 20% so far this month. It's had a nice rebound. I'm not sure why it slipped so much a couple months ago, but it did get under $480 a share just recently, just a few weeks ago. What kind of data are you guys seeing here out of Meta Platforms? Seems like everybody's back in.
Yeah, everybody's back in. I think, when we look at Meta Platforms, we just see really kind of uninspiring growth. I think, this is a classic, case of the law of large numbers. It's just really hard for this company to continue to grow when you've already got billions and billions of users. If you look at the first chart, Meta app usage is just showing that daily active users actually have slipped by 2.5% year over year, which is really just flat, and this is a company that, grew from 0 to billions of users. Now you're just kind of flat and you're trying to maximize the revenue or the value of each one of those users, and really underscores why Meta has to go into AI really aggressively to boost engagement, boost the number of views they get out of each of those users, how much revenue they generate out of those users, and how much ROI they can deliver to advertisers. And so with Meta Platforms flat, what we do is we look at, what's happening with the competition. And if we look at the change in web visits year over year, you can see Facebook and WhatsApp down on a year over year basis. Instagram still growing, but Snapchat and TikTok both growing at a much faster pace even than Instagram. And so overall, when we look at what's happening at Meta, you really just have to be a believer in the executive team and in the ability of this company to continue to drive deeper user engagement and more value for advertisers over time. I don't think that's a bad bet, but I think that the days of Meta Platforms having some massive user growth is certainly behind it. Now it's a matter of efficiency and execution. And so, do you bet on this company or do you go to some of the faster growing competitors?
Andy, what I think Mark Zuckerberg's best attribute is that he is aggressive. He goes hard after whatever direction he's going to. When he went in the metaverse, he went hard. It was kind of a miss, but he still went hard. And when he went into AI, he went hard. And that is really paying off for them. They have 3 of the top 4 social media sites. Incredibly, number 2 is YouTube, but they have 1, 3, and 4 in Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. So they have the eyeballs, 3.3 billion eyeballs, and that leads to what? That leads to where people want to advertise. Throw in AI to pinpoint that advertising and streamline it. You got a pretty good mix. The question is now what, right? How do they enhance? The AI is we're early in AI, but it doesn't feel like we're early in AI because Facebook's all in terms of AI. But do you think there's something else? Is there something next? Or is this where they're at right now in the present with AI helping with advertising for all their 3 platforms?
Yeah, I think you're right. The question is what's next. And if you're going to bet on a company to figure out what's next, the one that has, gone all in with successes and failures in the past and has a 3.3 billion user distribution network built in is a pretty good bet. And Zuckerberg is a pretty good bet in terms of a leader to bet on. We've already kind of forgotten about their dipping their toes into virtual reality, augmented reality. I think that will make a comeback. I think the metaverse stuff, that both of those cases, I think they were just early and they went all in early. And I think they're going to continue to see those be cost centers and not revenue centers, but eventually they will be so far ahead of the game that others won't be able to catch up. And that's been the story with Facebook over the course of its entire history. 3.3 billion users is a enormous distribution network to be able to push your products and your ideas out to. And so just because they were a little early in metaverse or a little early in virtual reality or augmented reality doesn't mean that it's a complete miss. They haven't struck out yet. They just got up to bat early and swung a couple times and missed, but big deal. This is a company that hits home runs when they hit the ball, and I think in both of those cases, Meta is a great bet for investors who may not want to bet on a single source of potential like you get with some of the smaller companies. With Meta, you kind of get both. You get the huge distribution network, you get a growing revenue base, you get a company that's really focused on AI, and they have a couple moonshot projects waiting in the wings, ready to deploy to billions of people.
Andy, when you look at this, it's law of large numbers, right? 3.4 billion daily active users across all their platforms. Are you guys seeing anything out there that, as far as digital ad spend, because they rely 95%, 96% on digital ad spend for their revenue? Have you guys seen any cracks across the social media network or any other media networks that might signal that, hey, we are pulling back on investments, moving forward as far as advertising spend, just due to the tariffs and maybe the macroeconomic environment?
Yeah, I think that there's some of that, but I think it's offset by the fact that the ad dollars that are shifting from traditional to digital and especially social are, that trend continues, and that's probably where a marketer that has any sense about them is going to cut their spending on unproven platforms and go to higher ROI, very targeted platforms like Meta gives them. And so I think that actually a softening in the overall marketing environment and marketing spend environment could actually be a big boon for these companies as they grab more market share of potentially, a little bit smaller pie or a static pie. But then once that pie starts to grow again, these are the companies, Meta being first and foremost, that will benefit from that rebound in a really big way, because they'll have more market share, because they've proven that even in tough times they can deliver a positive ROI to their advertisers.
Yep, it's all about eyeballs, and they've got the most on their platforms. All right, great.
By far, yeah.
Yeah, by far. Great stuff as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking down the data for us. Guys, Kevin, as I mentioned,